taking 2 records and seeing how long and how many different combinations I could make out of those beats. As I grew, I worked in music. I had the pleasure of working for people like Bill Grant, who was responsible for bringing many people together through music. I studied film in college, and my first job out of school was just a few blocks away at 40 Acres and a Mule, Spike Lee's film company. After working in music and film for so long, it was great for me to be able to find some sort of marketing platform and some sort of platform that was easily accessible where people could merge music and film and content. So what I'll show you is a bit of the evolution of how we started to market the graphic novel, how we started to show a bit more through the exercises we were doing, and then we stumbled upon a question, and something that we bring up in ARNY quite often, which is about the ecosystem that we're creating through augmented reality, and the concept of digital litter, which was something I was just speaking with Cami back there about. So let me go through some of the auras and just show you what we got. All right. The name of the story that Roz created was called The Heretic of Ether, and in it, we were in a post-cloud world where media could not be trusted in the cloud, so it all had to be liquefied. And this is the world that we enter into. So the story is called The Heretic of Ether. So this was one of the first experiments that we did. So what you see there is us doing nothing more than the call and response that you see through augmented reality and layering in a trigger image, but starting a video seamlessly so that it seems to almost colorize when you double tap on it, you can take the media with you. So the idea would be that if this were on a movie poster, you could actually aim, you could get the trailer, you could double click on it, and you could watch it as you go. So as we started to do a few more experiments, we just started to see what other things we could do. As I said, we were working with raw materials, mostly still images, treated images, and motion images. So I think what you'll see here is just kind of a small looping GIF that we had that shows just one of the scenes and one of the frames from the graphic novel itself. And once again, the interaction is usually, and it's all programmable from Erasmus. Double-clicking will allow you to take it full screen. So we started to realize that we enjoyed the fact that we could embed the augmented reality within the graphic novel, and that allowed us to expand the story's universe a little bit more. So all of a sudden, even the pages of the novel itself will become markers and unlock more material and more content. So that got us started to thinking about how do we embed this a little bit more in the art, music, and film world. Coming from music and film, it's been interesting to see how the landscape has shifted so much with all the technological innovations that are around. So what we started to do was experiments with artists and seeing what kind of content we could create by embedding speech and music, working with different rounds of artists. So here's some examples.
by the throat the damned heathen thug, and smote him thus.
So, very simple experiment. It's a line from Paul Robeson reading Othello, probably a 1940 recording. But what we did was we took the audio, and I ran it through an animation program that allows for lip sync to audio. So that allowed for a little bit of easier transition towards making the character come to life.
That's fun.
Once upon the midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. "Only this, and nothing more." Ah, distinctly I remember. It was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember brought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow. Vainly had I sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here, forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more."
So this was an experiment that I did to actually go and present to the artists. It's a group of artists that live in the Bay Area, the artists that did this work as well as this work. And I was a little nervous about presenting art to its creator that actually does something that they may or may not have intended. So it was interesting to be able to present these and watch the artist's response to them when they first saw their work come alive. And this brings us back to this kind of ecosystem that we're creating through augmented reality. I believe that through putting these tools into the hands of artists, they can create content that can continue to be updated. So for instance, this picture, if you see it, this content will always be embedded. But for an artist...
"I took by the throat the damned heathen thug, and..."
I'm sorry, it just makes me laugh. But putting it into the hands of the artist, they had a brilliant idea. They said, well, it says that today, but can I change it tomorrow? I said, yeah, you can definitely change it tomorrow. So all of a sudden, from one character, they can create an entire broadcasting network, update the content themselves, and give something different to their audience. A couple more experiments with those folks.
Asus ABC. Big A, little A, and what begin with A? And Auntie Annie's alligator, A. Big B, little B, and what begin with B? Baba, baby, bubbles, and one bumblebee. Big C,
It's Dr. Simpson's ABCs.
and what begin with C? Camel upon the ceiling, C. Big D, little d. David Donald do dream and dozen donut and duck dog too.
Has a bit of a distance experiment that we did. We actually blew up the video thinking that the markers may not be always so close. So what we did was we actually made the video closer than it is in reality. I'll just show you really quickly.
Asus ABC.
So you can see the space.
Big A, little A, and what begin with A?
We disconnected.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay. Basically, one of the ones that was most exciting for the artist was this one.
Yo, Chuck, these dirty zippers are still front on it. Show them that we can do this, because we always do this. Yeah! Yo, Chuck, these dirty zippers...
Let a brother know once again, back is the incredible rhyme animal, the uncannibal, public enemy #1.
Well, you all know the words, so. And lastly but not least, one company that I consult for is an electronic music school in New York called Dubspot. And what I was doing some experiments on how we can actually augment the campus. So this is the logo that appears on stickers that we throw all over town. So the idea would be, once you see the sticker, then you would actually get some updated information. Some updated information about the school itself.
Probably the most dramatic thing that we can do in the master process is really bring up the loudness to a commercial level.
So you want to play machine-wise. The tractor control F1 was made to have full control over the read.
So the idea with this is to install interactive buttons at the end of the video so that folks have the option to go to the site, explore more courses, or even redeem a coupon for 10% off a class. So these are just some experiments that we've been doing, trying to figure out how we can kind of integrate AR with the existing world of music and film and media. Thanks.
All right, so any questions for Barry?
You indicated you had some sort of about you touch base on that a little bit. What your
I started to see the first augmented reality products coming out of Europe, and those were products that weren't available on shelves in the United States. So by the time I would be able to hunt it down, find out if it was still going, it was actually off the market. So when they first started to appear in the US, I think one of the first one was Marvel Comics, but it was only at Walmart, and we don't have a Walmart here in New York. And I think the next one was Huggies, and I don't buy Huggies. So for me, I started to realize that I understand that the industry is utilizing the technology to promote its brands, but what is its real value if the campaigns are so short-lived? If you have a 2 or 3 month campaign with a Pringles can, that's great for 2 or 3 months, but after that 2 or 3 months, if it's not supported any longer, then I think we're creating what is called augmented litter. You know, we've got content out there that's not supported and not able to be activated. So what we'd like to do is work with artists and work with filmmakers and work with musicians in order to give them a platform so that they can create extended experiences that go along with their body of work.
Forgive me if I'm advertising my ignorance, but what app do you use to go through that you can look at these and animate?
I'm using Erasmus, but a lot of the apps do much the same thing. The call and response of loading a trigger image and then saying, once the viewer hits that trigger image, what do you want it to see? And it can usually be a 2D image, a 3D model, or a movie of some sort. And you're usually just limited by size constraints.
And various apps that you have all connect kind of to the same cloud, so anyone can get the same thing from it?
So for Erasmus partners, what they do is they give you the option to set up different channels. So for Dubspot, the school, I set up a Dubspot channel. For the graphic novel, we set up a Dub Fiction channel. And for the artist, their collective is called Black Diamond Shining, so we set up a Black Diamond Shining channel. So that can encourage people to continue to grow those channels and put more content there.
You mentioned the idea of an artist wanting to have different experiences in the same trapezoid. Now, of course, it's the artist's prerogative that they really want you not to be able to see the old stuff and only see the new stuff. But there might be some artists who would like you to see old stuff as well. So do you have something that would let a person looking at something now and realizing, something a couple months ago, it's really cool, that was associated with this, sort of roll back time and look at it, or
Sure, it's interesting because I saw something today that was, someone was using, I believe it was Instagram as an animation flipboard. And what they did was change the view mode to slideshow mode and then flip your finger really fast so that frames flash really quickly. And what they had done was gone from a modern picture of something in time-lapse back probably 3-4 months. So as you just flip simply just image by image, you were able to go back in time. And likewise with augmented reality, we're able to look at that modern image as a trigger image and then tell the viewer to play an overlay of an older image. Now what you see is the real magic comes in the placement of it. Because if you overlay it seamlessly, you get a much better effect than if you view it and then the image comes up somewhere over here.
Okay, so but your app, so you're looking at this in Erasmus, right? Mm-hmm. Does Erasmus support that? So if an artist wanted to let a person look at things over time?
Well, what Erasmus supports is the ability to update your trigger images and your overlays. So let's say the same trigger image, the same icon was looked at, you can change the overlay or what plays when the viewer actually sees the trigger image as often as you want to.
If you want to go back,
as
there's no way for us to go back.
Viewer, I would like to maybe be able to look back through the things that have been put out there. I was just wondering whether...
Oh, this particular SDK doesn't allow for that.
All right, thanks very much. I really like the last part where you see the face come to life. Because you know, with Erasmus, when most people basically just slap a video on the image, it's kind of cool for 5 seconds, but it's not really as engaging as when the actual image or the drawing or painting comes to life itself. And the way Barry did it is without any coding, right? That was basically an end-user type of tool that he kind of put together on his own that allowed him to animate those images. And I think that's kind of the third wave in augmented reality tools, which we're just starting to think about. Initially, you had the SDK, only programmers could use. Now you're starting to see a lot of creation tools for non-programmers, Layer and Tile, and others are putting all those tools. But it still requires somebody to develop that application. And this will put it really in the hands of everybody out there. It's sort of a user-generated content, which I think, think about it at a point in time where people can just go to anything out there. It could be this flag or a face or a mural or a poster and quickly animate that thing so that anybody that looks at that thing sees this animation. But the animation comes out of the world. It's not something that is, as I said, slapped on it without any specific relation. So that's very cool. All right, guys, so that was our fourth speaker. What we typically have at the last part of the event or the meetup is sort of my review of the latest and greatest from around the augmented reality world. However, today we're kind of out of time, so it's going to be very short. But I still wanted to do, first of all, this. Thank you. And then it's really the time where we do member announcements. So think if you have something to announce, a project you're working on, you're looking for some support, some developers, some money, ideas, whatever, this is the time to talk about it. But I have a few announcements. One is there's an AR book that came out just a few months ago by one of our own ARNYs, Joe Rampolla.